Hello and welcome. I hope that you are having a fantastic day. Today we're going to talk about cryptocurrency news. We're going to look at 2019 and kind of review the year, and we're going to take a brief look into 2020. So let's get started. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion. I'm not smarter than you. You are smarter than you realize. Do not trust what I say. Do your own research. And take a look at the rest of our disclaimer, because when it comes to investing in cryptocurrency, it's critical you understand the risk that you're getting involved with. So I wanted to let you know, even though on my channel I tend to focus a lot on Bitcoin, the main reason for that is because Bitcoin is the largest of all cryptocurrencies. It has the most amount of transactions. It's what institutions are getting involved with. And so it's kind of, when you're talking about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is the focus of the overall cryptocurrency market. And I do follow a variety of other cryptocurrencies. I follow their pricing. I'll invest in them from time to time. I'm a computer engineer, software engineer by trade. I've been doing that for 20 years. I'm actually involved in writing a computer algorithm that's going to look at different cryptocurrencies and say, here's a good time to buy, here's a good time to sell. And so those are some of the things that I'm kind of working on. And I really wanted to let you know that up front. I don't talk a lot about it in my other videos, but I think it is kind of valuable to understand kind of where I'm coming from and why in my videos I tend to focus on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency that's in the news the most, but it's not necessarily where I do my investing when it comes to cryptocurrency. And since I am not a financial advisor and my videos are not about financial advice, I don't get into those details. I don't get into the details about my algorithm very much or about what I'm actually investing in. I try and focus on what I think is the most interesting news and information that I can provide to my friends and relatives and people that are interested in my videos. I want to provide good information that help people understand the cryptocurrency market so that if they think it's interesting enough that they might get invested in it. So I kind of wanted to prelim that because I'm starting out my 2019 cryptocurrency in review by looking at Bitcoin and by looking at the 1-year chart for Bitcoin. Today is January 1, 2020, and this chart stretches from January 1, 2019 all the way to January 1, 2020. And so that's kind of what this video is about, is looking at the 2019 year in review and then also taking a look at what is in store for cryptocurrency in the coming year in 2020. And so the first thing I want to point out, in 2019, the lowest price of Bitcoin, now you can see, you'll look at, as I move the cursor, you see this kind of X thing. You'll see a date down here at the bottom in this area down here. And over on the side, as I move back and forth, you'll see this black box. That black box is the price for the crosshairs, for where my cursor is pointing at. And so, for example, on this particular day, the price closed at $9,244. So anyway, enough of that. The lowest point of the year is right in this area where Bitcoin was right around $3,000 for its low of the year. And the high of the year is where Bitcoin hit. In this one, you can see, over in this box, you can see the highs. And so the high of the year was 13,796. Most of us just round that up to saying, hey, Bitcoin hit $14,000 in 2019. But, you know, the technical, actual, most accurate price, trying to get the mouse right on the right spot so it keeps that up there, is the 13,796 price. I guess that's on a timer after a certain amount of time because my mouse didn't move and yet it went away. Anyway, $13,796 was the high for the year. Here's the thing that you want to notice from that. Bitcoin went from 3,000. Where's the, oh, there it is. So it went from a low of 3,391 to a high of 13,796. In other words, the price of Bitcoin went up by a 4x increase. In other words, if you had invested $1,000 when Bitcoin was at its lowest point of the year and sold that Bitcoin you purchased for $1,000 at the low price, when it reached the high of the year, you would have had $4,000. So you would have made 4 times your money by investing in Bitcoin at its lowest price of the year. I find that very encouraging, even though it doesn't feel like 2019 was a fabulous year for Bitcoin. In some respects, it really was, because if you invested in and bought at the lowest, sold at the highest, you could have increased your money by 4x, 4 times the amount of money. And so that's encouraging to me, that there's profit to be made. And a lot of people are talking about how, hey, it didn't hit the all-time high of 20,000 and yada yada, and so many people were expecting it to hit that high. I personally really was expecting it to hit that high of 20,000 and greater this year in 2019, or last year I should say. We're one day into 2020, or hours into 2020, not even a full day yet. Anyway, I really did think it would hit closer to that $20,000. Never quite got there. In fact, we ended up the year in the $7,200 price range. I never thought it would end the year that low. And so I could be discouraged by that, but really the truth is these numbers are actually quite encouraging. Plus, you can see there's enough up and down volatility that if you're using an algorithm like I'm working on, there's plenty of opportunity to make money with this kind of movement. And so I think that's very encouraging. Now, do I think that we're going to have a better year in 2020? Absolutely. I think we're going to have a spectacular year in 2020, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. But before I get to why I think 2020 is going to be a great year, let's finish our review of 2019. And so I also put together this little chart. This is the price based on every day's action, starting with 2019 1/1, January 1st of 2019. And it goes all the way to today, 2020 1/1. And so this gives you the open, the high, the low, and the close for every single day, plus an adjusted close and a volume. The data does come from Yahoo. We're looking at Yahoo Finance. And they have a place where if you click on the link, if we go back here, click on that back button, and then we click on historical data, you can actually go here and put in any date range you want with a start date and an end date. You could put in a 1 year, 5 year, all of the dates available, whatever you want, and you can literally download all of that data. And that's what I did, was I downloaded the data and then I loaded it up into this spreadsheet. This is a Google spreadsheet, and I'll provide you a link to the Google spreadsheet. I'll give you a link to Yahoo Finance, where you can take a look at the Bitcoin prices if you want to look at the current price, or take a look at the current charts and so on. So the price action for Bitcoin throughout 2020 was good. It really was good. It was a good investment, a great opportunity to make some money and to increase your assets during the year. So let's keep going. Now we're going to look at Facebook's Libra and the world governments. When Facebook announced its Libra cryptocurrency, it got the attention of the world, especially various world governments, and it really kind of shook up the cryptocurrency industry last year. So with Facebook's announcement, Congress immediately in the United States had Mark Zuckerberg testify before Congress, and Congress basically was telling Facebook that they're not going to let their the Libra cryptocurrency happen without a fight. And so many governments felt the very same way, and they felt that way because they saw Facebook's Libra as a threat to fiat currencies, like the US dollar or the British pound or the fiat currencies used in other countries all around the world. And many of those countries became so threatened that in the coming months, they actually announced their own digital currencies. China came out and announced that they have a digital currency. And can China, the birthplace of Alipay and WeChat Pay, win the digital currency race? The Chinese Central Bank announced that they're coming out with a cryptocurrency, but it didn't happen until after Facebook made their announcement that they were producing a cryptocurrency. And so Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency kind of started a chain reaction throughout 2019 of governments and large entities saying, whoa, hold your horses, and then other government entities coming out and saying, hey, we're going to create our own cryptocurrency. Turkey came out, talked about them creating a digital cryptocurrency. France came out, talked about their digital currency. In fact, even the Bahamas has launched a digital currency. This article said it would be launched tomorrow, which was December 26th. So that means December 27th, just after Christmas. Apparently, the Bahamas launched their own digital cryptocurrency. And so governments all around the world started getting very, very active. And to be honest with you, they must have been planning a lot of this stuff for quite a while, because as a software engineer, I can tell you there's no way that like the Bahamas could launch a digital cryptocurrency only after a few weeks of work. Stuff like that takes months and years to develop and test and be, confident that it's going to work and yada, yada, yada. Now, if all they did was took the source code and wrote something, say, on top of the Ethereum blockchain, because I'm not real familiar with what the Bahamas has actually rolled out, then that is something that there's different ways to do that pretty quickly. But it's something that you still have to hire computer programmers for. You still have to have a development team and a project. You still have to have a lot of infrastructure in order to make this possible, and a lot of testing and development time and so on. And so these are not simple projects that Turkey, France, China are getting involved with. And even though many of them, China sounded like they were going to try and launch in 2019, it hasn't launched yet. The Chinese Central Bank digital currency is likely to come out in 2020, but only time will tell. And when China did make their announcement, they did talk about how they've been in development of this for a number of months and possibly years. They were not real clear on it, but they made it clear that they've been developing this for a long time and that they were ready to launch it. They just needed Alipay, WeChat, and several other online entities that are Chinese online entities to build their infrastructure out to accept the Central Bank of China's digital currency. So it sounds like, based on the information that China rolled out throughout 2019, that the Chinese government is close to rolling out their digital currency, and that hopefully it'll be early 2020, but it could be late 2020. If it happens in 2020 at all, that's kind of spectacular. And I really do think that that would be a good thing for the cryptocurrency market as a whole. But time will tell. We'll see where it all leads to. So the next thing that we want to talk about is Wall Street greed. This was a significant factor in 2019 as Wall Street saw all of the action that's been going on with cryptocurrency over the last number of years. Behind the scenes, some of the Wall Street giants have been working and building and developing an infrastructure that finally got rolled out. In fact, it was about a year ago that the New York Stock Exchange announced, it was a year ago, 2018, the New York Stock Exchange announced that they were developing a cryptocurrency exchange similar to the New York Stock Exchange. And the company that owns the New York Stock Exchange made that announcement, and that it's a joint venture with Starbucks and Microsoft. So Starbucks, Microsoft, and the company that owns the New York Stock Exchange built and launched the Bakkt exchange in 2019. And that actually was released September 24th, 2019. This article was done the day before. And the reason why I think this article is important is because it highlights what's happening around the world with the Wall Street exchanges of other countries and what they're doing in the cryptocurrency market. So the Bakkt exchange represents the US-based physically settled Bitcoin futures trading platform. Bakkt was launched September 24th of 2019. But in the midst of the United States giant of Wall Street, the New York Stock Exchange, there are also other exchanges around the world that also got involved. For example, the second largest stock exchange in Germany, I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, so I'll give it my best shot. Börse Stuttgart has launched their digital cryptocurrency. And then in the Swiss Alps, the Swiss, with the Sixth Digital Exchange, the Sixth Group launched their digital cryptocurrency exchange. And so it's not just a phenomenon that's happening in the United States on Wall Street, but it's a phenomenon that's happening around the world, where exchanges around the world are getting involved with cryptocurrency and making it available for people worldwide to buy and purchase cryptocurrency. In fact, this is TD Ameritrade's website, and I looked up their cryptocurrency trading section on TD Ameritrade, and TD Ameritrade is making it very clear that they are building a cryptocurrency trading exchange on TD Ameritrade, and that as an investor, you're always looking for opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. The bottom line is, interested in cryptocurrency trading at TD Ameritrade? Then send them an email for updates on when it will be available. So this was information that TD Ameritrade was planning on going live in 2019. Did not happen in 2019, but as you can see from their website, they're still planning on introducing that in the near future. So this will be something that was planned for 2019, but will actually get rolled out sometime in 2020. And it's definitely another example of Wall Street's greed getting involved with cryptocurrency. Now, is Wall Street greed a good or a bad thing? Well, I've heard many people say that if you want to be a successful investor, if you want to make money investing money, you should follow what successful investors are doing. TD Ameritrade wouldn't be doing this if they didn't feel that it's going to help their people become successful. Plus, as we looked at earlier with the Bitcoin chart, we saw how you could increase your money by fourfold if you were investing in a careful manner with cryptocurrency. And we see here just this giant growth in a matter of months. And so I think 2020 is still going to be a fantastic year when it comes to cryptocurrency, and I'm expecting big things to happen. So let's take a look into 2020 as we're kind of folding our way into it with this conversation about TD Ameritrade and what they're coming out with next year. We've seen governments and central banks talking about cryptocurrency. To date, we've only had a couple of small instances of governments actually releasing central bank cryptocurrencies, but it's pretty clear that 2020 is going to have a lot more in that arena, with central banks and governments doing different things when it comes to cryptocurrency. We also saw the Bakkt exchange and online stock exchanges, how they're planning on making introductions. Bakkt has talked about how they're coming out with a retail app so that you can actually use Bitcoin. And I'm guessing, I don't know for sure because Bakkt has not released details about their retail app. So I'm assuming that it'll be more than just Bitcoin, but we know Bitcoin for sure because Bakkt has a Bitcoin futures exchange. So it would be, I don't know how they could release a retail app without including Bitcoin. I'm just wondering what other cryptocurrencies will be available on their retail app. And what Bakkt has said is going to happen with the retail app that they release in 2020 is that you'll be able to go to, say, Starbucks and buy coffee with cryptocurrency. And so that's going to provide a great deal of adoption. And there's a whole lot that's been happening over the last year to 2 years when it comes to cryptocurrency adoption. I mean, there's tens of thousands of ATM machines that already exist, already run, and already work that are located all over the world where people are buying and purchasing Bitcoin, for example. If you lived in Venezuela, you would see Bitcoin ATMs scattered all over the place in Venezuela. And there's other countries. When I traveled to Canada a year ago in 2018, I was doing a project up in Canada for a bank up there. And while I was, going to the stores and I was off work and I was actually at some of their malls, I saw a Bitcoin ATM up in Canada. And here in Texas, I've seen Bitcoin ATMs, and I've seen those machines where you come in and you bring in all your pennies and all your change and all of your coins, and it turns those coins into dollars. Those machines have started accepting Bitcoin. So you can actually bring in all your change and they would pay you with Bitcoin, or you would be able to buy and sell Bitcoin at those machines. And so a lot of things are happening at the retail level with Bitcoin, and I'm confident because of Bakkt and other things that have made announcements, other businesses that have made announcements for what's happening in 2020. I'm thinking that we're going to see a lot more action when it comes to retail and cryptocurrencies. And then also with online brokerage accounts, when it becomes so easy that you can just log into your TD Ameritrade and buy and sell cryptocurrencies, there's going to be a huge amount of mass adoption, a large influx of new people purchasing, buying, selling cryptocurrencies. Quite an interesting deal. So 2020 is definitely going to be shaping up to be quite a year when it comes to government central banks. It'll be quite a year when it comes to retail and brokerage accounts. But here's one of the things that's also going to drive prices in 2020. Bitcoin is kind of the price leader. If you watch I showed you the Bitcoin chart here a little while ago. If you watch that chart carefully and compare what's happening with the price of Bitcoin to what's happening with the price of other cryptocurrencies, the vast majority of the cryptocurrency market follows Bitcoin very closely. When Bitcoin's having a good day, you'll notice that almost all of the other cryptocurrencies are also having a good day. And when Bitcoin is in the red and it's falling, the price is going down, almost all the other cryptocurrencies are also falling and their prices are going down. And so when it comes to the Bitcoin halving, this is most likely going to have a significant effect on the entire cryptocurrency market. Now, what is the Bitcoin halving? What'll happen is when you make a transaction through the Bitcoin blockchain, that transaction has to be validated and verified by a Bitcoin miner. And Bitcoin miners consolidate a whole group of transactions into a single block. And then once one of the miners has solved a very complex cryptographic algorithm, once they've solved that, created the solution for that, then that block gets added to the blockchain, and that block contains a long list of transactions. And the miners get paid a certain amount of Bitcoin for solving that complex problem in order to add blocks to the blockchain, in order to validate that people are not double spending or using money they don't have, et cetera, et cetera. So they validate those transactions in the process of creating that block and adding the block to the blockchain. They get paid for that. Now, currently, on January 1, 2020, currently they get paid 12.5 Bitcoin per block. And that 12.5 Bitcoin is divided among all of the miners that were involved in solving a particular block. And that's how Bitcoin miners make money. Well, in a matter of a few months, that amount is going to programmatically get cut in half down to 6.25 Bitcoins per block. And when that happens, in fact, there's a website that I'm going to include with this article, with this video. I'll give you the link to it. And this website is called the Bitcoin Block Reward Halving Countdown. And what they're doing is they're estimating when this is going to happen, that they go from 12.5 to 6.25 Bitcoins for the miners that are doing the mining. Currently, the date is estimated to happen on May 13, 2020. And that estimate is going to be fairly close because they know that on average, there's about one block created every 10 minutes. There's a set number of 210,000 blocks that have to be mined before the decrease in the reward happens. And once those 210,000 blocks have been mined since the last halving, because this is not the first one in Bitcoin's history. This is the third halving that's happened in Bitcoin's history. Anyway, it'll drop from 12.5 to 6.25 Bitcoins for the miners. And what that's going to end up doing is miners are going to be making half as much money per block that they mine in the Bitcoin blockchain. And what that does is that will affect the miner profitability. It also increases the scarcity of Bitcoin. You know, when you think about gold, one of the things that makes gold worth something is its scarcity. And there's two things that create scarcity in Bitcoin. The first thing that creates scarcity in Bitcoin is there's a maximum limit to the total amount of Bitcoin that will ever exist. That's 21 million Bitcoin. Now, as of right now, there are only 17 million Bitcoins in existence today. And so we only have an additional 4 million that will ever be mined. And those comes from these block rewards that are given to the miners. The other thing that happens when that happens is miner profitability is cut in half. Now, there are certain fees and other aspects to the whole blockchain that keeps the whole ecosystem running and helps miners stay profitable. As miners drop off of the network, the difficulty for mining and creating blocks goes down, and miners are also rewarded a greater amount in fees. And so the whole thing has a sophisticated computer program that'll change the fees for purchasing and selling Bitcoin, and also changes how difficult it is to mine a block, and it helps to keep everything kind of in this equilibrium. The bottom line is that all of this combined historically with Bitcoin's price has forced the price to go up significantly. That's why when you look at, say, the Bitcoin chart over the lifetime of Bitcoin, you'll see multiple times where you see this great big peak and then it dropped down. Well, these peaks are centered around the Bitcoin's halving. There was a Bitcoin halving right about here, and you can see that this peak of $20,000 happened weeks and months after that halving. And so I'll leave some additional information, but the Bitcoin halving is going to definitely have a positive impact on the price of Bitcoin in 2020. So I recommend that you check it out and do a little bit more research into the Bitcoin halving. It'll give you a better understanding of why so many people expect Bitcoin to increase in price in the year 2020. And so, in conclusion, how can I be of service to you? Do you have any questions, any thoughts, any comments? Do you disagree with anything that I said? I would love to hear your polite disagreements, because you know things I don't know. I know things that you don't know. And when the two of us get together with what the other doesn't know, we can both learn and grow together. And so with your polite disagreements, you and I can grow and learn and be better as a result of it. In the meantime, I hope that you'll like, subscribe, and hodl, and have a fantastic day.